Welcome back. We have now looked fairly extensively at both classical conditioning and operant conditioning. These are often considered the two main learning theories, but while you may feel confident with both in isolation, it may be the case that you are required to compare the two. There are 8 general processes that we can use to compare the two learning theories. Unless otherwise specified, you can use any of these in an exam response. As we go through them, the differences will appear on screen. First up, we have acquisition. In classical conditioning, acquisition occurs when the neutral stimulus and the unconditioned stimulus are associated in order to produce the conditioned stimulus, which elicits the conditioned response. Comparatively, in operant conditioning, acquisition occurs due to an association between a behaviour and its consequence. In classical conditioning, extinction occurs when the neutral stimulus is repeatedly presented without the unconditioned stimulus, resulting in a disassociation between the two. Comparatively, extinction in operant conditioning involves behaviour not resulting in the expected consequences. In classical conditioning, stimulus generalization is when stimuli similar to but not the conditioned stimulus also elicits the conditioned response. Similarly, in operant conditioning, stimulus generalization is when reinforcement results in a similar behaviour but not the target behaviour being displayed. Along a similar train of thought, stimulus discrimination occurs either when only the conditioned stimulus elicits the conditioned response or only when the reinforced stimulus produces the desired behaviour. This is for classical conditioning and operant conditioning respectively. In classical conditioning, spontaneous recovery can occur when the conditioned response is produced when the neutral stimulus and unconditioned stimulus are associated again, following a period of rest. And in operant conditioning, it occurs when a behaviour is relearned following reinforcement, following a period of rest. So that covers acquisition, extinction, stimulus generalization and discrimination, and spontaneous recovery. A lot of these are similar for both learning theories, but require the use of language specific to that theory. Now let's move on to the role of the learner. In classical conditioning, the learner is passive. Comparatively, the learner is active in operant conditioning. And typically, reinforcement occurs before the response in classical conditioning, but after the response in operant conditioning. And lastly, the conditioning in classical conditioning is reflexive and involuntary, whereas it is non-reflexive and voluntary in operant conditioning. So there you have it. There are 8 differences between classical conditioning and operant conditioning. In a question that asks you to discuss the difference between the two learning theories, these differences become particularly useful to remember. In the next video, we're looking at observational learning. Keep working hard and have a psychedelic day.